I started my UPSC journey in 2019. Right after post graduation, gave my first attempt. I could not clear the prelims then. Then I gave my second attempt in 2020 and I reached the interview stage. I missed the final cutoff by 10 marks. And in 2021, it was my third attempt and I secured All India Rank 8. My optional was economics. That is true. Prelims is becoming really tricky, but I would suggest that keep your static very strong, specifically the polity part as well as the economy part. For the polity, refer to some standard book, right? Like I refer to Lakshmikant, and for the economy part, apart from the static, really focus on the current. Like the business section of the newspaper is becoming very important to in order to be in tune with the current trend of the examination. Apart from that, focus on your strategy of solving the paper. International relation is also becoming very important, as we can see that there are various questions appear this time in the international relations section. So for that, newspaper is very important. Apart from that, practice test series and make your own strategy of solving the paper. Mocks are important because you need to formulate your own way of solving the paper. So whenever you feel comfortable that you have formulated that way of solving the paper, I think you can stop giving mocks. Apart from that, also focus that you are not making silly mistakes. Once you are through with that, you are not making silly mistake, you are through with your strategy of solving the paper, I think you can comfortably stop giving mocks. For me, that ideal number was 40 to 50 mocks. So that amount of mocks was required to formulate these two strategies. CSAT is also becoming a challenge for the aspirants. I think you need to identify your strengths as well as your weaknesses. For example, my strength was reading comprehension. So I used to solve those comprehension first and then move to logic and subsequently to mathematics. So you need to identify your strengths. You need to cover some basic formulas that are required to solve the mathematical part of it. You can identify it from the past year questions and practice, practice, and practice for CSAT. For me, I found out that the maximum question I attempted, the more chances of getting higher marks was there, because my accuracy was not that spot on. So you need to identify if your accuracy is not that spot on. So you also need to mark more number of questions in the exam. My ideal number was 85 to 90 questions. Sir, in paper 2, I used to attempt as many questions as possible. So 40 to 45 questions are the comfortable range that you should attempt. For the essay, I would share my strategy of writing the essay paper. So I used to start with an anecdote that used to capture the entire essence of the topic that was given. Then I used to provide a very short summary of what I was going to talk about in the entire essay. In the first paragraph, I used to define the keywords, giving example so that the examiner is clear what does do I mean by the keywords that are mentioned in the topic. Then I used to link those keywords and I used to give examples from different areas like polity, history, international relations. In the end, I used to again summarize the entire essay and end the essay with a good quote if it is appropriate and if it is fitting. For the GS4 strategy, I focused on making my own notes based on the keywords that are mentioned in the GS4 syllabus. Those are very important. Along with that, take out two examples for each of the keywords. For example, empathy. You need to take out one example of any personality that you read about in your GS syllabus. From history or from international relations, and another example from your own life. So that is how I prepared my own notes for GS4. I revised it multiple times and also focus on the case studies, practice them from the past year question papers, and maintain the structure while writing the GS4 case study. Previous year questions are like a guiding light. They will give you a direction about what kind of questions are asked from different sections in different papers. They will also give you an idea of the kind of language that the UPSC uses in their questions and what they are expecting you to write in the questions. So, past year questions are really important. I did not study by the clock. I used to make daily targets. Sometimes the study hours would stretch to around 6 to 7 hours, and at times when the targets are really difficult, so I used to put in 11 to 12 hours also. Economics is definitely a challenging subject because the volume as well as its dynamism. So, you need to be very well, you need to be very clear that you want to take this subject, and uh, once you have decided that this is the subject that you are going to take it as an optional, don't deviate from that. For economics, I would suggest that focus on paper one because it is more theoretical in nature, it is more static in nature. So you can score very well in paper one if you have practiced it well. Practice the diagrams, practice answer writing, and really focus on the past year questions. For example, for me, this time I really wrote all the past year questions from the last 10 years, and that benefited me a lot. For people who are starting their UPSC journey, I would like to suggest that first understand the examination. Go through the syllabus very thoroughly and prepare your book list. I did that by listening to past year toppers and referring to their blogs. After finalizing the book list, I think you should divide your time into different phases so that you could cover your entire syllabus by the time you appear for prelims. Also, target to write at least 3 to 4 tests before you appear for the prelims, and I think 2 to 3 months of dedicated preparation is then required just before the prelims. And after prelims, focus on answer writing, focus on revision, and have confidence. I think UPSC is a very beautiful journey as well as a very long journey. Beautiful in the sense that you get to know a lot about your surrounding, you become more aware, and you become a more responsible citizen. And it is long, it requires a lot of patience. 1 year goes into preparation, the other years goes into writing that exam. So, need to have a lot of patience. Apart from that, discipline as well as consistency are the founding pillars to excel in this examination. I was engaged with Insights in the interview stage. I had an interaction with Vinay sir. He analyzed my DAF and also told me about the probable questions that are can be formulated from different areas of my DAF. Apart from that, sir also took my interview and gave his valuable reviews, which were really important in making the improvements in the mistakes that I'm making. Sir rightly pointed out my weaknesses as well as my strengths, so that really helped in refining my own personality. Since I have got All India rank 8, it is expected that I will get my first preference, that is Indian Administrative Services, and my preferred cadre is IGMOT cadre.